Hi everyone, welcome back to another what I read during this month video. As you can see in the title, these are all the books that I read this month, and they were mostly, or basically, all romance titles. I know it should be in February that I decide to do that, but it's the Valentine's Day month thing. Uh, but we don't choose the books we read. We kind of do, but at the same time we don't. Let's get into it. This book, I supposedly finished it in December, but it was like on the last 2 days of December, and by then I had already posted the video of all, or recorded the video of all the books I had read since July. You can see it. I'll put the link so you can check that video out. But since I had already recorded that video, I decided to put this one on my January list, since I almost finished it on the first day of January. So the first book was Checkmates by Ali Hazelwood. This has been on my list since she had announced it was going to come out, so I had waited and waited for it to come out, and when it did, I bought it. And this is a different book, or a different story from what she has ever written. It's a young adult novel about chess, and I really like chess. It's a really nice hobby. To me, it's a hobby. I like to play from time to time, but it's nothing like extravagant. And this story focuses on Mallory, who's a young girl. The story starts by telling us that when she was younger, she was basically a chess prodigy due to her father being a grandmaster. And after he left, she removed chess from her life entirely, until her best friend at the time asked her, after like a few years had passed, asked her to join her team for a championship because they needed one more person. She didn't really want to join, but since her best friend had asked her, and there was also a prize money, there was a prize money. She decided to compete with her friends. She ended up playing, and she got to the finals and ended up playing against Nolan. As she was playing against him, she wasn't really aware of who her opponent was. After she had won the game, she noticed that Nolan, the current world champion, and that was a really big shock to her, and she ended up leaving everything behind. Throughout the whole story, she regains her love for chess. We discover a lot of traumas that she has with her family, and she also develops feelings for Nolan. I give 4 stars to this book because I didn't really enjoy the ending. Like, I feel like their love story was really well developed, because it evolves throughout long months. It's not something like spontaneous that happens after a month or something. But the ending, I was expecting a bit more. The epilogue shows us like a few years down the line of how everything ends up being. I was just expecting for there to be a few more chapters of their relationship at the end. But other than that, it was a really lovely story. It's the first young adult novel Ali has written, and I think it was really well done. There was a little bit of hate for these people saying it shouldn't be a young adult novel. but there's less sexual scenes and tension than her adult novels that aren't really adults. They're normal novels. Um, but it was really nice. I think it's really well rated, and the story was really well written. Second book on the list, we have The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Um, the problem with this book was the opposite of this one. I enjoyed the ending. I didn't really enjoy how their relationship developed. Um, this story is about Jess and River. Jess is a single mom of a little girl, and she's a really smart woman. She works with numbers, she works with data, and she knows what she has to do in her job. She works as a freelance. Um, she works in freelance, and she has a best friend called Fizzy, who is a romance novelist, and she uses Jess's like failed dates and sometimes stories to write a few of her novels. And I thought that was really funny, and that's really nice content for books if we see it, because most books are written because of our own stories with a little bit of like a mix of other things in between. Um, but the whole story starts because Jess and Fizzy normally work in a coffee shop, and every day at the same time a person comes in, and they've noticed him. Jess has noticed him for a long time, and she's always had a little crush on him, but she has never mentioned anything to Fizzy because she knows how Fizzy can get like overly excited about it. Uh, and Jess is a very stern person in love in general, because the father of her daughter left when she was pregnant. She didn't want anything to do with him, so he left. He never met her daughter, and she only wants the right person to be with her, so her daughter can get the best um, parenthood, not parenthood, best childhood with the right parents. Um, and because of that, she has never mentioned anything to Fizzy, but Fizzy has noticed, and one day while they're talking to not the waitress, the one of the employees in the coffee shop that is their friend, he mentions that that guy owns or is the CEO of a dating app. And they're very confused by that because he doesn't like the parts to be it. But it is what it is, basically. So one day Fizzy decides to call him over their table, and Jess is like, no, this can't be happening, stop it. And they have a convo. They talk about his app, how it's different from others, and we learn that it's basically a compatibility dating app. They use your saliva and blood samples to match the best DNA of someone with yours, and that implies that there are a lot of different scores in the app that you can define. So if you want the perfect match, you will have a lot less matches happening. As the opposite, if you don't really care who you're dating and only want like a match of 15%, there's gonna be like hundreds of matches, as long as they put it in the data and they participate in the data of the dating app. The story evolves to basically fake dating, because Jess, as a birthday present from Fizzy, she gets one of those tests to do to join the dating app, and in a moment of weakness she does it. After a few days she gets called over to his office, like his building, by a few of his employees, and they discover that she has like a diamond match, which is like the absolute biggest match they can have, of like 90% or something, with the CEO, and his name is River. I forgot to mention throughout the whole story, but his name is River, so Jess matches with River, the CEO, and she doesn't want anything to do with him because she didn't like him at first, and she doesn't think he's like boyfriend material or husband material for, or even father material for her daughter. This turns into fake dating because they really want to see how it works, if they can develop feelings or not. His employees start this thing because it ends up being a little bit of a matchmaking thing, who that will gain a lot of attention from other people, or like magazines, not journals. It will get a lot of publishing because of it. So they come to a middle term. She needs money because one of her employers didn't want her work anymore because she didn't really agree with one of the things she was doing, so she didn't want to do it, and they got her off the job. And for her to fake date him, they would pay her the money she would supposed to be getting from her other employer. She accepts, and this develops all of their relationship. There's a lot of ups and downs in the relationship, especially because this is a thing that happens throughout like 2 months. It doesn't even get to the 3rd month of fake dating. And yeah, they make out, there's a lot of love and hatred between them at some point, and they eventually break up and eventually get back together. Also, it was a really messy novel. I didn't quite like it as much as I could have, so it was a 3.5 for me. But other than that, if you like to read romance books just for the fun of it, this is a fine example. I just am always looking for, I guess, what I like and the little things that I enjoy in romance. And the last book that I read this month was the 5th volume of Heartstopper. And if you haven't seen my last video, I did talk about all the other volumes that I had read in December. But this story is about a boy named Charlie and his boyfriend Nick. The other volumes talk about their high school life because they're in a high school. Nick is a year older than Charlie, and they're both on the soccer. Is it the soccer team? I always forget. It's either the soccer or the it's not soccer, but I'll put it here. Team, and they're together on that team. The last few volumes talked about body dysmorphia and finding out about who are the people that you love and don't, how you feel, what is your identity basically. And this last volume that I read is mostly focused on recovering from body dysmorphia, from this case Charlie. Charlie is the one that was suffering from anorexia, and it was a really heavy topic in the last volume, but I think it's really important for young people to know about this and be more self-aware of what's happening around them or within yourself even. And also, since Nick finished high school, he's now looking for colleges to get into, and one of his favorite colleges is really far away from Charlie. So he was really thinking of just staying close to Charlie so they wouldn't have to do um, long distance. But they end up solving that problem, and Charlie just wants the best for Nick. And I think that's really wonderful because it shows growth in Charlie's development, and also in Nick for being able to present his feelings to Charlie. I'm really like excited for the last volume to come out. I think the sixth volume is going to be the last one. And I'm just excited to see how the whole story is going to end. Um, that's it. That's all the books that I read this month. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.